This was sacrilegious. I mean, there were people who gave Barack Obama hell for a tan suit and a selfie stick. And you have somebody out here who's mocking Jesus Christ, and the Republican Party, GOP, they think they're God's only party anyway. They simply can't say our president messed up.
Another day, another ridiculous scandal from Donald Trump and MAGA, with Trump posting an AI image of Jesus and then lying about it. Then MAGA does all of the mental gymnastics and logic pretzels to defend Donald Trump. We're going to take a look at clips from a heated panel on Abby Phillips' CNN show with Bakari Sellers and Lee McGowan pushing back against the far-right misinformation of Noah Rothman and Hal Lambert. I want to share my thoughts on this as well. Let's get into it together.
Tonight, an uncharacteristic move by President Trump. After significant blowback from both the left and the right, he's now deleted this AI-generated post depicting himself as Jesus. But according to him, that isn't the likeness of Jesus, and he's surprised that anyone would think otherwise.
It wasn't depiction. It was me. I did post it, and I thought it was me as a doctor, and it had to do with Red Cross, as a Red Cross worker there, which we support. And only the fake news could come up with that one. So I just heard about it, and I said, how did they come up with that? It's supposed to be me as a doctor making people better.
But tonight, Vice President J.D. Vance had a different explanation. He said Trump is just trying to be funny.
Right. I think the president was posting a joke, and of course he took it down because he recognized that a lot of people weren't understanding his humor in that case. I think the president of the United States likes to mix it up on social media, and I actually think that's one of the good things about this president is that he's not filtered.
Father Edward Beck is here with us at the table. Father Beck, is this a funny joke? It seems like most people didn't take it that way.
Well, I think rightly so. What doctor have you ever seen with light rays coming out of his hands to heal someone, and rays from heaven coming down, blessing him in red and white garments? I mean, the president, I think, is being disingenuous, quite frankly, by saying he thinks it was a doctor's image he was posting. There's no Red Cross image in the photograph. There's an image of a nurse in a blue uniform, but nothing about the Red Cross. So I just think all of his comments did not follow what everybody else saw. And for J.D. Vance to say it was simply him being humorous, I think, well, which was it? If he was trying to be humorous, most people didn't get it. So basically, we're blaming people for not getting his humor and the liberal media for not getting it. I just think you always put the blame somewhere else, but why not just say, look, I made a mistake. I posted the wrong thing. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have done it. I just think that would be more reasonable.
Because he deleted it, but then lied about it?
That's not who he is. I mean, I think we have to get to the point where we're like, when are the lies enough lies? When do the people of America who support this man say, this is enough lies? Like, quite clearly, everyone who's ever dressed up for Halloween knows if you're a doctor, you put on a white coat and a stethoscope. Like, that's the doctor costume, not the Jesus costume, which is what Donald Trump put himself out being. And it's putting himself in the place of God, not with God, in the place of God. I think the bigger issue here is that Trump's behavior from the whole week is that he's not mentally fit to be in this position right now. He threatened 90 million people with instantaneous death. He's terrorizing the world. He's ruining the economy. He basically said we're going to get rid of a 6,000-year-old civilization. And then he went to an ultimate fighting championship game to wave at people, right? Like, we can't pretend that this is okay, that America is the good guy in this situation. It's no longer even pretending that we represent freedom and justice or democracy in the world when we have this one man with unquestioned, unchecked power acting however he wants, and then we try and make excuses for it after the fact. It's too much, and we have to stop.
So, Lee is not the only person describing Trump's behavior recently as erratic. And the Times put it all together in a piece that says Trump's erratic behavior and extreme comments revive mental health debate as the former president threatens to wipe out Iran, attacks the Pope. Even some former allies and advisors are questioning whether he's grown increasingly unbalanced, describing him as lunatic and clearly insane. And look, let's pretend that it's not Trump. If someone that you loved who is in a position of power, like a CEO or something, posted something like that, people would be calling and asking, are you okay?
Well, I think what the reason Trump said that is because the person that originally posted it was, I think, February 6th. And he actually said he posted it because Trump is the doctor for the country. And that's why he posted it out there. Now, the image is obviously a problem, which is why President Trump pulled it down. But I believe President Trump probably didn't think of it as being Jesus at the time. He saw it as, oh, I'm healing the country, which is what
You believe that
No, I believe that.
depicting
No,
himself as a doctor?
you know, I definitely believe.
Hal, you believe that he was depicting himself as a doctor?
Well, that's what the original post was about. And so Trump retweeted
No,
it.
I believe, because I don't think Donald Trump knows who Jesus is. So I honestly believe that he was confused. I mean, the fact that people can't call a spade, like, this was sacrilegious. I mean, there were people who gave Barack Obama hell for a tan suit and a selfie stick. And you have somebody out here who's mocking Jesus Christ, and the Republican Party, GOP, they think they're God's only party anyway. They simply can't say our president messed up. And then when Riley Gaines, who I don't agree with on much of nothing, Jason Whitlock, who I don't agree with on absolutely anything, when they had the audacity to come out and chastise the president of the United States, he chastises them back.
Yeah, but he pulled it down. When you say he won't admit it, he did pull it back down.
But who is in charge of the man who's in charge of the free world? If he can put out things and then be like, whoops, we can't have someone in charge who can do that. He needs to at least have a team around him that can stop him from putting up the wrong
He's the
thing.
president of the United States. He can put whatever he wants up. You're not in charge. You can't tell him what to do.
That's the attitude in the
That's
White House.
the
But that's, he
problem.
can't.
No, go
That's
ahead.
the problem.
No, go ahead.
That's a big part of the problem, is that nobody can tell this clown Donald Trump what to do. Lee McGowan and Bakari Sellers are exactly correct. Donald Trump is not fit to be in this office. And here's the big thing. They're all acting like, oh, you know, he's getting older, and, you know, the quote that Abby Phillip put up about him being insane and whatever else they said. We knew all of this in 2016. We had 4 years of evidence of Donald Trump in the office to see that he was not fit to be president. And then all of the insane stuff that he said in the years after that, lying about election being stolen, talking about people eating cats and dogs and all of that. And that should have been enough for the Republican Party to get together and all of these talking heads to get together and say, nope, we don't want this guy. He's crazy. He's an idiot. He did terrible things while he's in office. We cannot have this guy again. But they will not do that. So instead, you have Hal Lambert, and I'm sure we're going to hear from Noah Rothman as well. Well, what he really meant was this. And, he thought it was a doctor because this guy said it was a doctor. Bullshit. If the guy is too stupid to see that picture and not understand that was him being depicted as Jesus and not Donald Trump being depicted as a doctor, then he's too stupid to be the president of the United States. And we all know that Donald Trump is too stupid and insane to be president of the United States. I do like the line from Bakari Sellers that he doesn't know who Jesus is. I think that's correct because he's a fake Christian. We all know Donald Trump isn't a Christian. We all know Donald Trump doesn't read the Bible. We all know Donald Trump doesn't care about religion. He's lied about that to win over all of these evangelical kooks that he sadly has won over. But again, if Bakari Sellers is right and he doesn't understand that that is a picture of Jesus, he should not be in the office. And as the priest said, he could just said, I made a mistake. I shouldn't have posted this. I'm sorry if anybody was offended, and move on. But everything is a lie. Everything is a logic pretzel. Everything is mental gymnastics to explain, well, what he really meant was this and blah. And the left just doesn't get jokes. I don't want a president making jokes. They have the White House correspondent dinner, which Donald Trump won't go to, that they get people to write jokes for them. The rest of the time, it should be serious. You're overseeing the lives of hundreds of millions of people here, trying to make our lives better, which of course Donald Trump doesn't care about that. Your words and actions directly affect the stock market and prices and all of that, which of course Donald Trump is manipulating. And as Lee McGowan is saying, you hold the lives of millions, tens of millions, hundreds of millions of people in other countries in your hands by threatening them and literally starting wars against them. So no, the left isn't being wimps or they don't get humor or whatever. JD Vance can go to hell over this. He throws out this crap all the time about the left just doesn't get jokes. No, we don't want a president making jokes like this. And when you have to explain the joke, is it a good joke? No.
Pushback, though, that he did it. It stayed up for 13 hours.
Well, I'm just saying, she keeps saying, who's going to stop him from doing this?
Well,
Congress?
I think
The
Congress is
military?
going to stop him?
People are supposed
I
to
think.
stop
Oh,
him.
go ahead.
He's
I'm sorry. You've
not
been trying to
supposed
jump in. It's like double
unilaterally
dutch around here.
making
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, I'm just confused as to what the New York Times is identifying as being odd behavior here. I mean, this is precisely how he's behaved for the last 8 years, 10 years. If you ask Republican voters.
Yeah, and that's the problem. People like Noah Rothman, you sycophant, you propagandist, you should have been speaking out against this 8 years ago, and the rest of your party should have, to get somebody sane in there.
back in the first term, the first thing they tell you they don't like about Donald Trump is the tweets back when it was Twitter.
Right.
The tweets. You can't count on 15 hands how many times his social media has gotten him in trouble, and yet he can persist in part because this is something
But don't you think on
No,
the...
it's not okay.
But
It is
hold
just
on,
a feature of how he is, and I wish they had a more disciplined com shops.
I think you're right. Like, look, there's a polling earlier this year. 61% say that Trump doesn't share their values. 64% say he does not have the right temperament to be president. So you're right. Americans see him for who he is. But I think the issue,
Republicans don't like that too.
the issue right now is on the importance of the things that he's sending these messages about. It's not just calling his political opponents names. He's threatening to wipe out a civilization in the middle of a war. And then he's getting into a tit for tat, which we'll talk more about in a little bit, with the Pope, and then sending out an image that even his own supporters are saying, don't do that. I mean, Riley Gaines's comment was, a little humility would serve him well. God shall not be mocked. But it's the why. It's the stuff that he's doing it on that makes a difference.
I do think there's a little.
Let
Oh,
Noah
sorry, go ahead.
respond, please.
Well, I actually don't have much to say. I think everybody's right. I think Riley Gaines is right that we wish the president would exercise a little bit more discretion. He cannot do that. He refuses to do that. And then folks like J.D. Vance come around and say, well, this is what's best about him. It does fuel his ego in ways that
But I
are
also think that
counterproductive.
we're not clearly acknowledging the fact that it's getting worse. And I had a great aunt, Jenny Marie. She was the matriarch of our family. And she was 88 years old and still driving. And then she used to come to church and park in the front. And then the day she hit the pastor's car, my dad had to go take away the keys, right? Because it just progressively got worse.
Is this going to be an Article 25 discussion again? You guys have been talking about Article 25.
No.
happening.
So I have two concerns. One is that the president, I believe, lacks discernment, and I think that's getting worse. The second thing is you won't call a spade a spade. And the fact that if you can't call what he did sacrilegious, which is clearly the definition of sacrilegious, I think that would be my second problem.
Well, obviously, I wouldn't have posted it out there, and I think President Trump realized he shouldn't have and pulled it down.
But can you be critical of him?
I also
Sure, I don't think he should have posted it.
Also
But why not
how-
apologize? Why not admit I did something?
That's a very good question.
I think part of it is in politics, when you start apologizing, you run into problems. And I think that's the issue.
That is not
Certainly
okay.
is.
Just to be clear,
But in Christianity, when you start apologizing,
hold on a
you
second.
actually help
Just
put
to be
an ask
clear,
forgiveness.
it is not true that in politics, when you apologize, things start to go wrong. That the only person who believes that is Donald Trump, and he is wrong about that. In politics, it is okay to acknowledge mistakes. That's actually what most politicians do. The fact that Trump doesn't do it is not it's not a virtue, Al. I mean, it's not a virtue. And why, by the way, is it that Trump needs to post something first, see the backlash to realize that it was wrong?
Well, as was said, he's been posting now for 12 years.
Yeah, but does he have the judgment to know that it's wrong before he posts it?
I think he does. I mean, this was done at 3 in the morning, I think. So
What was going on at 3 in the morning at the
He
White
just
House?
thinks it's cool. Like he posts this thing where he's dressed up as Robert Duvall in Apocalypse Now, going to war with Chicago. He thinks it's cool. He doesn't.
But also at 4
His
a.m.
fans shouldn't
But
kill
also
him.
at 4 a.m. on Easter Sunday, he was also posting about committing a genocide. Like you can't decouple them. And all I'm saying is when you look at them together, and when you look at them not in exclusivity but together, you have a president of the United States who is getting older by the day.
I really
All right,
think we should make a distinction between being provocative and blasphemous with making threats against an adversary in war that you've interpreted to mean breaking the nuclear taboo.
I will take the fact that you called it blasphemous.
All
So
right.
I'll take a win.
You just said a lot of things there now.
So I think Noah Rothman and Hal Lambert, the two MAGA guys, they're actually making the left argument for them. They're making Bakari Sellers and Lee McGowan's argument for them, and that is Donald Trump is unfit for the office. They're literally saying, hey, he lacks the discernment to know that he shouldn't post this. And Hal Lambert says, well, he took it down, but I mean, he shouldn't have put it up to begin with. Yes, because he's a clown. Donald Trump has the mentality of a 12-year-old boy. We should not have somebody running like this running the country. If Donald Trump wants to go back to being on The Apprentice or a guy who has real estate or whatever, he can post all of the insane shit that he wants to. But the president of the United States needs to understand that this kind of stuff doesn't fly. Abby Phillips summed it up well there by saying to Hal Lambert and Noah Rothman that he should know better, essentially. But Donald Trump doesn't know better. He's an idiot. He's a clown. He has an adolescent mentality, the same as people working for him, like Pete Hegseth. That guy has a 12-year-old boy's brain. A lot of 12-year-old boys are smarter than Pete Hegseth, I would say. But that is the mentality of Donald Trump. That's the mentality of MAGA. They're clowns and morons who lack the judgment that normal people have. You know, I've used this example in the past, but imagine a CEO of a company posting that, a principal of a school posting that. What would happen to them? They would be in big trouble and would probably lose their job. But not Donald Trump. We're going to have all the MAGA goons doing their logic pretzels and their mental gymnastics to say, well, this is what he really meant. And really, it was just a joke. We got 3 more years of this nonsense to deal with. And as Abby Phillip put up on the screen, what was it? More than 60% of people don't feel that Donald Trump shares their values. Riley Gaines saying, oh, you know, he needs to have humility. He's never had humility. Where were you 10 years ago? They all knew this. They all saw what Donald Trump was a decade ago, but yet they all lined up behind him to get him reelected. There's a show that I listen to, a podcast, the Professional Left podcast. They're great if you haven't heard them before, and they say burn the lifeboats. All of these people in 3 years, when Donald Trump is out of there, they're going to be trying to be a part of respectable media like Abby Phillip's show, and Abby Phillip and CNN and all the rest should say, no, you defended this guy to the end. You're done. We're banishing you from polite society. You were wrong all along about Donald Trump, and you spread misinformation and disinformation and propaganda and lies to defend him. We're not going to listen to you anymore. Just watch. When he's out of office, all of these MAGA people, Hal Lambert, Noah Rothman, Scott Jennings, they're all going to be, Donald Trump? Who's Donald Trump? I never had anything to do with that guy. Let me know what you think in the comments about all of this. Are you on the side of Bakari Sellers and Lee McGowan and the priest here and what they had to say on Abby Phillip's show? What do you think would happen if Donald Trump just once in a while would apologize? Yeah, I was wrong. I shouldn't have done that. But it's not in his DNA, as Lee McGowan said. Donald Trump is incapable of apologizing or ever accepting blame. It's always somebody else's fault. Are you on the side of Hal Lambert and Noah Rothman in their mental gymnastics in defending Donald Trump on Abby Phillip's show? Let me know in the comments what you think. Make sure to give me a like and subscribe. I'm Chris on Culture, and I will see you in the next video.